2 of Fusion 7 Healing, Traditional Chinese Medical Insights. So we're halfway through on this particular day, so what we're going to do is a quick recap on what it is that we did yesterday. Then I'm going to quickly introduce what it is that we're going to be doing today. Okay? Alright, so yesterday we began with a comparison between Eastern philosophy and Western philosophy and found to our surprise and amazement how different it is the way things are, what's the word I'm looking for? Diagnosed, right? The diagnostics is so much different between East and West. West makes you want to kill yourself, and East makes you think, well, okay, perhaps I can deal with this, you know. I would rather feel that I'm dealing with Wu Wei syndrome than somebody saying to you, you have got multiple sclerosis and there's no way back. So I prefer Wu Wei syndrome, okay, than that. So there was a comparison between East and West, but what we're trying to do is take the best of both and fuse them together, obviously. So we looked at terminologies, we began to understand things like deficiency and excess. When something is deficient, we need to tonify, and when something is excess, we need to sedate. Right, excellent. We also looked at the evil, pernicious influences. So do you remember what that stuff was all about? Those are the environmental evils. What was that?
Heat, cold, damp,
wind,
one more left. Dry, yeah. Heat and fire go together. It's like fire is when heat is in excess, basically, yeah? We began to play with processes to do with yin and yang, how to deal with yin and yang and how we can correct yin and yang. And we applied templates for the 5 elements and also to their corresponding seasons, yeah? Then we started to look at the organs that go under each category, yeah? And we began to explore the emotional connections to each of the organs. And we also explored taste, didn't we? Because each of the organs governs a particular taste. For example, let's see if we can remember one. Stomach taste, does anyone remember? Because you all did it yesterday. The opposite?
Sweet.
Sweet, yeah? So earth is to do with the taste of sweet, for example, yeah? And we also learned some corresponding emotions to some of those, 2 of the organs. So one that we did bang on about a little bit was kidneys. Do you remember which emotion is connected to kidneys?
fear.
Fear, yeah? In the meantime, all these emotions, when we look at it metaphysically, they can be actually placed anywhere. But now we're just looking at the Tcm perspective. No? Yeah? And we also looked at the organs on the inside of Tcm and how they correspond to organs on the outside of Tcm. So do you remember, for example, which outer organ that the kidneys correspond to? Doesn't matter if you don't, just sort of refreshing.
Skin.
No?
No.
Eyes is
Ears.
Ears, yeah. So kidneys is ears, yeah. Liver is eyes, yeah. So you're not required to remember it just yet. Just refreshing your memory. This is what we did yesterday, yeah. We also started looking at things like on the meridian clock. No, it's not meridian clock. That's today. The organ clock and the seasons clock, and we were looking at the creative cycle, which is clockwise. So that basically means that one element feeds the next one in a clockwise cycle. The destructive cycle is if it's working the other way round, or the one before it isn't working properly. So, yeah, so for example, if I was working, say, on the heart, yeah, and something was wrong here, I may need to explore the one before heart to see if that's giving me any problems. Does that make sense? On the cycle. And you can look that up in your manuals. And then we've also got inside cycles, which are the controlling ones. Those little arrows that go across, yeah? So there's one season or one element that controls another one. Sometimes the control is too much, we all know about that, and sometimes the control is too little. So what happens if the control was too little? Because there is meant to be an element of control there. So if the control was too little, what happens to the actual element that we're working with? It can make it what? Yeah, it would be distorted. But if it was too little, it could mean that it's
weak. Excess?
It would probably be excess. It could be weak, it's not wrong. But I'm thinking of fire. And if the fire isn't being controlled properly, then fire can burn. It's like, you know, the fire brigade didn't turn out to put out the fire, and then all the forests are burning down. So it usually means that that element is beyond control if it's not being controlled correctly. Yeah, so that's the controlling cycle. Excellent. That was yesterday. Those were all the bits and pieces that we looked at yesterday. Today what we're going to look at are the miscellaneous causes of disease, and there's loads of those. And it's like there's about between 1 and 56 of those, and so we're going to intuitively see which ones of those are affecting us. Yeah. We've got the meridian clock, so we've looked at the organ and the seasons and all of those clocks. Next is the meridian clock, and it's all up on the board, made totally simple to use for you. We're going to investigate a little bit deeper on the 5 emotions, investigate and heal. And we are also going to look at, again, the meridian clock, but in its official name is called the Harari cycle. H-O-R-A-R-Y. I think I'm pronouncing it right. I don't know for sure. Harari cycle. So we're going to do a lot of meridian stuff today. And this here is corresponding to the meridian stuff. This is actually the clock. So I'm going to explain to you what I've written here so you can understand it. And then during class we'll start looking at it in greater detail. Here basically are the times. That's the green writing. Don't worry about that for now, just to there. Those are the times in green. Then over here you're going to see either an H or an F. H means hand meridian and F means foot meridian. So some of the meridians belong in the hand, upper, and some meridians belong in foot, the lower. Okay, that's basically what the H and F stands for. Then you've got all the abbreviations of the organs, and if they're blue, it means that it's what? We did this yesterday.
What? Oh.
Blue and red, we said, yeah, blue and red, we said that it would be perhaps yin. The blue is in yin, and the red is in yang. Yeah? So this is what it's telling us. For example, we're just going to look at the very first one. We'll go through all of them afterwards. It's telling us that 3 to 5 a.m. in the morning, the hand meridian of lung, which is yin, has 11 meridian points. So the last number is how many points there are to each meridian. So that makes it super easy. In your manual, there's about 3 or 4 or 5 different charts explaining all of that separately, but here we've got it all in one, right? So you're best off just taking a picture of that. Then it goes over to PM and it continues all the way down, and it finishes with 1 to 3 a.m. again with the liver. The cycle begins with the lung and finishes with the liver. The reason why the cycle begins with the lung is because when the baby is born, it takes its first breath, and so everything begins with the lung meridian according to Tcm. Okay, so that is the Harari cycle, and we'll go through the details a little bit later on. So let's get cracking and let's have a great class.